In this video, I want to quickly go through modulations, through the concept of modulations, what they are, why you need to know about them, and how they apply to the Leaving Cert melody writing paper. So modulations, in a nutshell, are key changes. It's just a key change. It's where you're in one key to begin with and you change into a different key at some point. And on the Leaving Cert melody paper, it's different depending on whether you're in a major key or a minor key. So if you're in a major, well, for starters, your modulation, regardless of whether you're in a major or minor key, always takes place here. It starts in, oops, mistake. Starts here at the beginning of bar 7 and lasts until the beginning of bar 8. That's where your modulation actually happens. In the minor key, it kind of continues on, so that it continues on through your sequence here, but that's not relevant for the moment because we're just in a major key for this bit. Okay. So your modulation is always in bars 7 and 8. I'm just going to go down here and look at the minor key. Again, your modulation is in bars 7 and 8 here. And the minor key, it kind of continues on a little bit through the sequence. When you're modulating, one of the very first things you'll need to know is where you modulate from and where you modulate to. So you'll need to know what key you're in, and you'll need to know where you modulate from that key. So the first thing we do is work out what key we're in. So we look at our key signature, and if you remember back to our video on key signatures, 4 flats like this equals A flat. It means you're in the key of A flat major. So that means we're beginning, all this part up here, we're in the key of A flat major. And then when it comes to modulate, we're going to modulate to a different key. We're going to change. We'll no longer be in A flat major. Then, when we come back here in bars 9, we're back in A flat major again. So for just this brief 2 bars up here, we're going to change into a different key. And we need to know, so next thing we need to know is which key do we change into, and how do we do that. So the key we change into is always going to be the key of the 5th note of the scale of the original key. Okay, so that might sound a bit complicated. So the first thing we need to do is write out the notes of our original key. So notes of the key of A flat major. So that's A flat, then we would have B, but as you can see from looking over here, B is also flat. We've got a flat centered on the middle line of B there. Then C, then we've got D, but as you can see again from looking over here, that would be D flat. Okay, and E, which would also be a flat, because we've got an E flat over here. So E flat, F, and then G, and those are our notes of the key of A flat major. So our key A flat major, these are the notes if we were to write out the major scale of that. What we need to do when we're modulating is we're going to modulate to the dominant key. The dominant key is the key that's a 5th, so the 5th note away from the original key. So if we count up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the 5th note is E flat, so we're modulating to the key of E flat. Okay, so for all this part we're in A flat. When we get to here, we need to modulate to the key of E flat major. So that's where we modulate to, and that's always the same. If we were in the key of C for a melody, we would need to write out the notes of the key of C. So C would be the exact same thing. You just go from C to C, like this. And in the key of C, there are no sharps or flats. So you wouldn't have to put in G flat or anything else there. It would just be as it is. But we're not in the key of C, so we don't need to worry about that. Alright, so we were in A flat major. When it gets to bar 7, we need to modulate to E flat. We know that. We know how to find out which one we modulate to, which is the 5th note. We just need to know how we modulate to that now. Here's how you do it. So it's all about what chords you use. Chords are they're groups of 3 notes or more played together at the same time, or played together in sequence so that they melodically create the same effect as if you had played them all at the same time. And we need to really outline certain chords that are important in the key of E flat major. So we really want to show that we're in E flat major now. We really want to establish to a person's ear when they're listening that we're in E flat major. And we do that by really emphasizing chords that are important in E flat major, but that we don't have them in A flat major. We want to show people that we're not in A flat major anymore. We've changed to E flat major, and we're going to show that by emphasizing these chords that are important in E flat major. And the chords we really need to emphasize, hang on, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write out the scale of E flat major here, because now we're working in the key of E flat major, we need to be aware of that. So E flat major, we would do the same thing, we would go from E flat to E flat. Some people are going to notice a mistake here. Oops. Some people are going to notice a mistake here, but I will correct that. I'm doing it deliberately for the moment. So if we want to modulate, if we're in the key of E flat major, we write out our notes of A flat major, just as before, going from E flat all the way up to, we would be going to another E flat here. But what we need to do is the seventh note in this original, the seventh note in E flat major is no longer going to be flattened. We need to raise that note. So that's no longer going to be a D flat, it's going to be a D natural. That was my attempt at a natural symbol there. Maybe if I do it in a different key it will look a bit clearer. Yeah. Okay. So now that we find out a key to modulate to, that was based on the fifth note of our original key, and we did that, we modulated here. Now we need to go to our new key, which is E flat major, and we need to raise the seventh note. So that was a D flat, I'm going to raise it to a D natural. Okay, that's the first step. So at some point in these bars, a couple of bars, we're going to have another D natural, and as you can see we do. I've got one right here. Okay, but the way we use that D natural, it has to work as part of a certain chord. And the chord that has to work as part of is chord 5. We're actually going to have a 5/1 cadence, a perfect cadence. It has to be part of chord 5 in the key of E flat. So that's how we establish we're in the key of E flat. We have a perfect cadence in E flat. We've got 5 to 1. So we need to have chord 5 and chord 1 here. Now chord 1 is easy. I mean, it's just E flat, B flat, and G. We just need to work out the notes of chord 1. Chord 5, we need to sharpen that seventh to make sure that it's the real chord 5 of E flat, not something that we've taken from the key of A flat, our old key. Okay, so we've gone into E flat, we've raised the seventh. Next thing we need to do is find out the notes of chord 5. And we would do that by, we go to note 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So note 5 is B flat. I'm just going to use in a different color. B flat. Okay, and then we take a note and we skip one, so we're skipping over to C. And if we were to continue writing out this key, we would have an F there. I might need to scroll over a bit so you can see it a bit better. Okay, so you got B flat, D natural, and then we skip one again and we've got an F. So the notes of our chord of B flat are B flat, skip one to D, D, skip one to F. And our notes of B flat, which is chord 5, the notes we really need to emphasize here are a little darker, are B flat, D, D natural, and F. Okay, so the main notes you really need to emphasize in this bar are the notes of chord 5 in E flat. The notes of chord 5 are B flat, D, and F. And as you can see, we've done that. We've got B flat, F, B flat, D. We've actually just used those notes so far. Then B3, we've also got an F. We've got one little passing note in here, or auxiliary note rather. We've got an F here, and we've also got a D. So nearly this entire bar, apart from one note, is notes of that chord, that chord 5 in the key of E flat. So this all seems complicated. You probably have to watch this video a couple of times to get it. But all you really need to remember is you work out your original key of A flat. Then in bars 7 and 8 you find out the dominant key of A flat. And the dominant will be based off chord 5. So we go to A flat, we write out our scale of A flat, and we count up to number 5. Okay, so that's E flat. So we know we're modulating to the key of E flat. Next thing we need to do is write out the notes of E flat, and we raise that seventh. So we write out E flat to E flat, and instead of the D flat note that would be note 7 of that scale, that key, is we raise it to a D natural. Okay, once we've done that, we have to go to note 5 of that, and we work out the notes of chord 5. So that was our B flat, D natural, because it's raised, and F, if we're to keep going right now to scale in the cycle. Okay, and then that's going to be our chord here. So chord 5 here is in this key made up of B flat, D, and F. So we really emphasize those notes here. In bar 8, we really need to emphasize the notes of chord 1. So we're still in the key of E flat, so chord 1 is, we just go to note 1, use a different color here, we go to note 1, E flat, then we use that one, we skip one, we skip over the F, we use the G, then we skip over the A flat and we use the B flat. So our notes of chord 1 are E flat, G and B flat. Just there. E flat, G and B flat. And as you can see, again, we've really emphasized those notes there. E flat, B flat, G, E flat, G. Just use those notes. So that's how we do our modulation. It might seem complicated, but after you've done it a couple of times, it's actually really, really easy. It's just something that all this stuff starts to click with you, and it really works so easily. You just need to work out your original key, work out the dominant of that one, then chord 5 and chord 1 in the dominant. You need to work out what they are by writing out the scale, doing your going to 5 and taking that one, skipping another. Then working out chord 1 by going to note 1, taking that one, skipping the other. So you've got the notes of chord 5, you've got the notes of chord 1, and then you write your melody almost entirely based off those notes. So that's essentially how we do it. That's our modulation, at least in the major key. What we need to look at next is our modulation in the minor key, and you know what? It's pretty much the same process, just done slightly differently. In the minor key, we don't modulate to the dominant. So let's just work out what key we're in. So we've got 3 flats. I've already told you we're in a minor key, so 3 flats in a major key will be E flat major, but in a minor key it's C minor. So we're in the key of C minor. Okay. When we're modulating in a minor key, it's actually kind of easier in a way, because we don't need to work out all the stuff with the dominant. What we do is instead of modulating to the dominant, we modulate to the relative major. And the relative major is just the one that shares the same key signature. So 3 flats, if we were in a major key, would be E flat major, which you'll probably have learned. You'll probably learn your major key signatures before you learn your minor ones. So if you know that 3 flats in a minor key is C minor, you probably already know that in a major key it's E flat major. So all we need to know is at this point we're going to be modulating to E flat major. Okay. So here's how we do it. We don't do it up here. Up here we went chord 5, chord 1, and then our modulation was done. In a minor key, we add an extra chord. We do chord 2, chord 5, and then our sequence. Oops, it's not 5. Then our sequence is based on chord 1, so it's 2, 5, 1. Okay. So what we need to do is work out what those chords are. Wait a second. So remember we're in the key of E flat major now. We need to use chord 2 in the key of E flat major. So chord 2, chord 5, and chord 1. So let's try and work out what those are. So we're going to do that by writing out the scale of E flat major. E flat, F, G, A flat, B flat, C, and D. Okay, those are our notes of E flat major. If we want to work out chord 2, we have to go to note 2. So we go to note 2, which is F, the second note is 1, 2. And then we take one, we skip one. So we go F to A flat, and then A flat, we skip one, B, and C. And those are our notes of chord 2. So it's F, A flat, C, because we always take one, skip one, take one, skip one. Okay, so chord 2, I'm just going to write this out over here, is made up of F, A flat, and C. Chord 5 then, we just do the exact same process. So we're going to go to note 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we take one and skip one. Then we take one, and I just need to write out the scale a little bit longer to work this out. So if we were to keep going back around in a cycle, this is how it would work. We would go take one, skip one, take one, skip one. So our notes of chord 5 are B flat, D, and F. Okay, and the last one we need to do is chord 1, and again we follow the exact same process. we just go to note number 1, take 1, skip 1, so on G, and take 1, skip 1, so on B flat. So the notes of chord 1 are E flat, G, and B flat. Let's just write those in. Okay, and then we do our modulation. So in this one, this bar here, bar 7, we need to have chord 2. So the main notes we're really going to emphasize are F, A flat, and C. And as you can see, we've done that. We've got, just give me a second. So we've got A flat on a strong beat. We've got a passing note G, which is what's important. We've got an F, A flat, and C. So we use F, A flat, F, A flat, C are the main notes that we've used here. And as you can see, those are the notes of our chord. So let's have a look at this one, chord 5 in this bar. We've got, so we need to have the notes B flat, D, and F. As you can see, we've got B flat, we've got F, we've got a little passing note that, a little note that leads up to a B flat here. But our main notes are B flat, F, B flat. So as you can see, we've mainly used the notes of chord 5. And then we're on chord 1 in this bar. So we need to use the notes E flat, G, and B flat. So we got E flat, we got a lower auxiliary note, which is a common melodic device, E flat, B flat, and G. So once again, we've really outlined our chord 1. And that's the start of a sequence then. We would go into a sequence here, as you can see, which we've done in other videos and we'll do in future videos again to explain in more detail. That's how it works. So the main things to remember are, in the major key, you modulate to the dominant. Same place all the time, so always bars 7 and 8. In the major key, you modulate to the dominant, and you do that by having chords 5 and chord 1 in the dominant key. And you need to be able to work out what your dominant key is, and we explained all that earlier, you can look back over it. In the minor key, you modulate to the relative major, which is an easier one to find. It's easier to figure out than the dominant key. And in this case, you use the chords 2, 5, 1, and we end with 1 in bar 9, so that we can do we begin our sequence on chord 1. And that's essentially it. That's how we do our modulations. So I hope that was helpful.